You are listening to an exclusive interview on Bass Musician Magazine. The interview starts now.
Hey everybody, this is Raul for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the great honor and pleasure of chatting with this incredible duet, both bass players, but predominantly when they are playing together, they can't both play bass at the same time. So we have Rob Howe that plays drums and Pure Joy that plays bass. And sometimes they get a chance, Rob gets a chance to play bass too. So this is really kind of cool. So starting from the beginning, as always, would like to know a little bit about your past. How did you guys get started in music and on bass? And I'll start with you, PJ, because ladies first.
Okay. Well, we met through Craigslist. Yeah, I love the face.
Yeah.
But no, it's true. Mostly I was auditioning for their band. So they were looking for a singer and became the singer. So we were in the band for a little while and band dissolved. And so we decided to continue on and we became Pure Joy people. I was playing guitar at that time. I don't know. In the recent years, I've always had this love for bass. Mm-hmm. But I think I was a little intimidated, like starting with it, because I feel like it's such a solid foundation for the song. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if I should do that. But then one day I just asked them, I was like, hey, can you show me some stuff on the bass? And that's how that happened. And now we're here.
Nice.
With you.
There we go. And how about you, Rob? How did you get going?
A friend of mine owed me some money when I was young and much younger. And he left a bass at my house. So then I started picking it up and learned a couple of songs and became hooked on bass. And then it eventually started seeing a lot of the great players and realized that while I might not be as good as them, I could play some stuff. I was like, hey, So I've been playing bass for a while now. Along the way, I got kind of tired of drummers too. So I became a drummer to actually, not just because I was tired of drummers, but also because I felt like it made me a better bass player. Yeah. For a long time, it was my 100% focus was being a bass player. But how can I be better? How can I be more in time? Well, pick up the instrument that you're working with and try to learn it a little bit. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, the solid bond, I think, behind pretty much most music is that link between the drums and the bass. When you have a good relationship, it enhances the tunes on their own, but B, you kind of feed off of each other. And so if you kind of have insight into each other's workings and world, it just makes it that much better. And many times a good bass player can make a drummer's job a little easier, and a good drummer can make the bass player's job a little easier too. And so it's better. It's like the two are more than the sum of the parts. So that's really not surprising that if you were going to take a segment out of a band, the logical choice would be the drummer and the bass player together. Now, listening to your music, I've noticed, again, you kind of fall within an alternative rock genre. If we have to put anything in a pigeonhole, there's no reason necessarily to. Maybe progressive, if you look at what you're doing, you're kind of pushing the envelope and a little more on the cutting edge. But I do notice, because of the two of you being a duet, like PJ, you tend to go more with like the melodic side of the bass because you've got a percussion holding down the percussive side. And so you are able to elaborate, and maybe a little of your guitar player will show through there because you need it to enhance that harmonic portion. But you also sing while you play, which I'm in awe of anybody that can do that, because that's kind of like a right brain, left brain. I can only do one at a time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I were singing, all I would get out is la, 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 because I wouldn't remember the words. So that in itself is really impressive. Now, coming back, you guys were formerly kind of the duet, the group, as of 2014, correct?
Yeah. Pure Joy People it was always us, but it was a kind of a merry-go-round of different players and really great friends of ours that would come in, whether it would be a drummer, another guitarist, a keyboard player, backup singers, I mean, we even had saxophone and harmonic players that joined us on stage. So it was people. It was all the people that we would play with. That's why it was Pure Joy People. I would take different roles depending on who we would get. If we had a drummer, then I'd play the bass. If we didn't, then there were times we'd even have the bass on a track, you know. So and I would play. Yeah, we did tracks for a little while there.
Sure.
But, yeah.
I love calling it a musical orgy. I'm like, I can't do that in real life. I'm not that hardcore, but I can do it in music. So that's what Pure Joy People was. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then eventually the important thing, and always was us, and you know, the bass and the drums, of course. So we boiled it down to this, and it really was because she came to me one day, and I had been messing with some pedals and stuff on what the bass sounds, and she was like, "Can I try that out? Let's jam stuff." And immediately we just went into like a vortex of like what you were talking about just knowing each other and really having that gel and playing. And something was there that we hadn't, I mean, in years of playing, we really just didn't have until that moment. And so we, you know, very quickly decided, well, this is maybe the route we need to go.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and then from there, kind of following your progress, you've done some singles, some EP stuff, and you had your first album, Octopus Woman, in 2018.
Yep.
Yes.
And recently I've been seeing, you know, more releases. We'll share those videos so people can kind of get a chance. I know you guys did a show in Vegas. That looked like a lot of fun and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of them are.
Yeah. And so it would probably be good because your gear is a big part of your sound. Tell us a little bit about what you're using, how you're getting that particular sound.
I do a bi-amp, right? So I have the guitar amp and I have the bass amp. I have my pedal board for my bass. But now, actually the last show I was going to say, I started using the Line 6 Helix for the guitar side. So I have my pedal board for my bass and I have my Line 6 for my guitar. So it just keeps growing. And actually during that show, I guess there was an earthquake and we did not feel it. Everybody else felt it.
Wow.
That wasn't the equipment, or the show, but it was kind of interesting that way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We're really rocking, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, these people taking it up.
I was like, wow, Line 6 is really working. That's awesome.
We like the Helix. All right.
Special effects to go with the whole thing, right?
You never know what you're going to get at one of those. We just proved.
So bass-wise, I've seen you playing a Fender.
Yes. So I have the Mustang.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I call it my Agent Cooper bass. I don't know if anybody knows Twin Peaks here, but yeah, if you see the show, he's Agent Cooper, and that's my bass. But
sometimes they have to have a name. You know, it's what's fitting.
Well, honestly, when people would name like their cars and things like that, I didn't get it for a long time.
Yeah.
I was like, well, why do people name these things? I'm like, you name your pet, right, and all these things. But when I got this bass, I was like, nope, I'm naming it this. And so there, look it up, Agent Cooper, Twin Peaks.
There we go. Well, and look at B.B. King. I mean, everybody knows his guitar is Lucille. So
that's true.
Hey, why not?
Yeah.
And then I also noticed you're playing through Mark Bass amplification.
Yes.
For the bass. Do you have a preference in strings?
No, we've been actually trying out different things. What was the last one that we tried? Was it Ernie Ball?
Well, a lot of the technical side, I've been playing bass a long time, so I kind of like, I get to be her guitar tech.
I got to ask him a lot about these things, but I'm not sure.
She's definitely getting a feel for it, and now she's started to tell me what she needs. But it's actually a steel string. I think it might have been Ernie Ball.
Yeah, I think it is.
That we got him. But honestly, at this point, the brand is like whatever. Steel string helps with a little bit more of that guitar side sound. So So you've got the bass, and then it allows you to have a little bit, and it's a little bit more slinky for her to play it almost like a guitar, be able to do those bends and stuff.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of one of the secrets, if you will, I guess.
Yeah, at first it was weird for me because I was used to the thicker ones, I guess, and the regular, but this one, it's like I feel like you have to be more precise of where your placement is.
Sure.
Because it's really like bright. But I'm now used to it, and I actually really like it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that those Mark bass they just kick tail, man. So they're just super light, and they just really, I mean.
That's the best.
I was
the weight of things.
Yeah, I used to have a Mesa Boogie, and thankfully she never had to deal with this. But it was one of the big blocks, and it's amazing sounding amp. But I called it, my May somebody please help me move this thing. Originally it was May somebody please help me pay for it. Now May somebody please help me move it. But anyways, when we found the Mark bass stuff, it was like, wow, all right.
Yeah.
Technology is really one of the reasons why we get to do this. The advancements in what you can do with equipment.
Sure. Well, and as we talk about because you mentioned your bass pedal board, that allows you to have sounds that go beyond just the straight, clean bass signal.
Yes, which is really cool because, there's an octave pedal. Of course, there's distortion. There's fuzz. I love my Reagan fuzz because, if you guys look that up, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, super awesome.
The eyes light up and everything. Anyways, there's that, and there's a bass synth pedal as well, which I love because, that's what I use on the Wearing This Together, the Nine Inch Nails cover, and it's just nasty.
Yeah.
So, or on the bass for sure, yeah.
Well, and there is a movement kind of in the bass community. There are folks pushing the envelope with their sounds. And that's where kind of you've got these guys that are using MIDI processor, feed in the whole fret tracks system. I don't know if you've seen it, but it'll convert your bass into a sound of almost any instrument you want. It is built into the neck and all this stuff, so it has to be modified that way. And I only know of 2 people that use it so far. I'm sure there are others, but Victor Wooten and Stanley Clark. But it involves permanently altering your bass. And so who else other than Victor would alter a Federa and have them, let's cut a groove in the neck and do this stuff. And, everybody else would be like, no, you can't do that. Anyway, and Rob, when you play, do you have a preference? I see a Music Man behind you.
I've always liked Music Man. Probably used that a little bit more in the studio, and really a lot of my playing is now in the studio. Obviously, what's behind us as far as bass is concerned, because we write together on these things, and sometimes she'll bring me some parts, and I'll take them and give it a little. Like, hey, check out this little noodle riff, something that maybe she just wouldn't have thought of, and then she could take that and compress it into her thing. So, but I went to Fender. I mean, I used to be a 5-string guy. I have a Padula, and then one day it was just like, after really never thinking I would ever go back to 4-string, I went to 4-string, and what do you know? It was just the classic Fender PJ, funny enough, I did get a PJ because of her name. I was like, all right, something's calling me to get this PJ.
There you go.
Bass. And I actually really love that setup, the way the pickups work and the way you can kind of half turn a knob to sort of get a blend that you really are looking for. It's just a ninja bass,
Very cool.
I can't remember what one it is that I have. Special edition PJ.
It's all good.
No worries. It's not really that crazy or anything. It's just, it's set up well and it plays nice.
Gotcha. Well, and when you're in Fender's wheelhouse, they continue to do kind of a consistent. So when you mention Fender, you've got a very clear idea what you're looking at. And even the new ones, because they're releasing, as we speak at Summer NAMM, the Vintera series, which is basically a kind of a combination. It's bringing back more of kind of the vintage bass stuff. So you're getting a 50s, a 60s, a 70s P bass or jazz bass. And so, again, I think everybody's pretty clear. The moment you say Fender, you get that image in your head. You go, okay, I know what he's talking about.
Yep. You get it set up the way you want it, and it's gold. Almost even this might be sacrilege for some people to say, but even a Squier set up right is like, not too bad.
Well, absolutely. And the key thing, and a lot of people, the reason they get a Squier is to mod it, because they'll go, I'll start with this foundation that didn't cost a lot, but I can go ahead and switch out the electronics. I can put a different bridge on if I want. I mean, there's all kinds of little tweaks that, again, you start getting into the heavy gear stuff. But all in all, it's mostly just how it feels in your hands. And
Yes.
for you, PJ, again, with women, a lot of times we're looking at a narrower fretboard is preferable because of the size of your hands. You won't have giant hands. And then there's weight. There are players that'll play a 12-pound bass, and I'm kind of like, I'm not feeling like that's comfortable anymore, so.
When I started, I was playing with a regular, size bass and everything, and I'd never really thought of those things until I found out about short scale basses, and I was like, wow, okay, I can actually be up here and not down here. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. I was like, oh wow.
And I didn't know if you knew it, but the first electric bass wasn't made by Leo Fender. It was made by Paul Tootmark in Seattle, and it was actually built for a woman. So
Really?
It is a lot smaller than the basses are now, but it was kind of the size of the neck and the fretboard and all that was designed. His wife played it.
Babe, I need something to solo over. Can you?
Exactly. Well, moving along and looking ahead, what are your plans for the future?
Our big plan is that we are no longer Pure Joy people. It has come to our attention that after a year of being a duo and really completely changing who we are in a lot of ways, even just the fact that we have a more narrow scope of what musically we do, which is good for us because we were all over the place, we are now Death Buddy. So that's the big news. Yay, Death Buddy. And really it's an endearing term for a lifelong friend or till death do us part. So that's what we are. We realize that, well, we're, anything we care about, like our animals or anything, we're like stewards for them, and they're our death buddies. We're going to see them out. It sounds morbid, but it's actually something we find to be a term of endearment and something of love. I mean, again, the whole phrase "till death do us part."
Yeah.
Most people don't freak out about that one. They're like, "Oh yeah, we know what that means," but it's kind of morbid if you think about it.
Yeah.
But we like that. We like the dark and the light. We really like the whole dark and light thing, and so Death Buddy was kind of it. And it just kind of helps us, say who we are more than our old name did, Pure Joy People. Which you can still find us at Pure Joy People. We're gonna make it so you can still find Death Buddy through Pure Joy People. So if you look up either one, it'll take you to us. Yeah, we just felt it was important. We had changed so much, and we're still on the same journey. This is just the next chapter, and I think it means a lot at this point to do this.
Yeah, and everything that led us here, I mean, even Pure Joy People, all the people we played with, it's all been amazing. And I think that, it's just, people grow. And so that's what you're doing. You're changing, and this is what it is. And for some reason, Death Buddy just was like a light that was just like, ding, flashed. And we're like, the Death Buddy. All right. And that's it. And here we are announcing it for the first time.
Yay.
Yay!
So to help people with a lookup, if they want to know what you're up to for now, purejoypeople.com.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. And on Facebook also, facebook.com, purejoypeople. Will you start a separate page, you think, for Death Buddy? Or
It's already there for Death Buddy. It's what we're doing is we're going to actually change the name on Pure Joy People, although the address will be Pure Joy People.
Yeah.
So people, if they want to find us, it'll say Death Buddy, but it'll find us through Pure Joy People. And we have the second Death Buddy site already, and then eventually we merge the two. So it's a transitional process. Yeah. It's kind of new for us, so we'll see how it all goes, but we'll get there. I mean, it was that important. So however it happens, we'll get there.
Very cool.
We're working almost right now. Probably we'll be doing some videos in the next 2 or 3 months and stuff, and we'll release them as we go.
Yeah,
so
that's been the other side of the story, is that there's a lot of new music, and it really is like, it's just a little bit more focused on with 2 instruments, you have so many choices of what you can play, and that's actually been very important to us because it makes us just kind of be this rather than, oh yeah, we like all this kind of music. We like to play funk. We like to play reggae. We like to play all this music, rock, you name it. But when you're just two people, you kind of are just filtered into, you have to make it work here.
Yeah.
So I think that people will notice that if they've heard us before, if they hear our older stuff, that there's been a change. And I think it's more of a focused change. So that's cool.
Gotcha.
Hopefully.
Well, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to get together with us and chat about your journey, the transition. We're really excited to hear going from Pure Joy people to Death Buddies. It's all really cool. People, look them up for now on purejoypeople.com. You've seen them here. Rob Howe, Pure Joy, on Bass Musician Magazine.
Thanks for basing out with us here on bassmusicianmagazine.com.